Today we would be discussing a case in which dual valve replacement was performed in a patient who had fungal endocarditis. So my patient is a 45 years old male. He's a known case of diabetes and hypertension. He presented to us in the emergency department with complaints of fever, which was high grade, documented up to 102 degrees Fahrenheit. It was associated with rigors and chills. He also experienced shortness of breath for the last 1 week, which was worsening progressively. Initially, he had shortness of breath only on exertion. It gradually worsened and he was experiencing shortness of breath even at rest when he presented to us. His symptoms were associated with palpitations, vomiting, weight loss, which was documented up to 2 kgs in the past 1 week, joint pains, and easy fatigability. On further inquiry, it was found that the patient did not report any cough, diarrhea, vomiting, or dysuria. So, on examination in emergency department, his blood pressures were 140/60. He was tachycardic, and he was maintaining saturation of 86% on room air and was restless. His GCS was intact. His chest revealed bilateral frying cracks in the lower zones, and his cardiac examination was remarkable for a pansystolic murmur which was present at the apical area. It was radiating to the axilla, and a diastolic murmur at the left parasternal area, which accentuated on held expiration and bending forward. His abdomen was soft and non-tender. So in emergency department, we did initial lab workup, which revealed raised inflammatory markers and marked leukocytosis. He had a TLC count of 29, HP was 9, UCs were within normal limits, and his CRP was 75. Considering his unstable hemodynamics and his lab workup, he was admitted in the ICU setup and was managed with IV antibiotics, non-invasive ventilatory support, and other supportive treatment. So our impression was infective endocarditis based on the history and the presence of murmur. So we proceeded to send 3 sets of blood cultures which were taken from 3 different sites according to the infective endocarditis protocol, but they came out to be negative. His urine analysis was also performed, which was normal. So we proceeded to perform a transthoracic echo, which revealed an EF of 35%. His apex was akinetic, and here we can visualize a vegetation on the anterior mitral leaflet and a larger vegetation on the right coronary cusp of the aortic valve. He had severe MR along with AR. So here we can better visualize the larger vegetation which is present on the right coronary cusp of the aortic valve. And here we have further measured in order to clear the sizes. The mitral valve vegetation measured 0.9 into 0.8 centimeters, whereas the larger vegetation on the RCC of aortic valve measured 0.7 into 2.3 centimeters, which was quite large vegetation. So, considering his disease nature, multidisciplinary teams were taken on board, infectious disease and cardiac surgery teams were involved, and antifungals were added. We also performed CMV, EBV, and HIV titers, but they all came out to be negative. So, since the patient was responding well initially to the medical treatment, it was decided to continue with the medical treatment and perform serial echoes for the assessment of regurgitant lesions. But unfortunately, during the hospital stay, his breathing pattern worsened. He dropped saturation, his work of breathing increased progressively. He dropped pressures and urine output dropped progressively, due to which he was taken on inotropic support, and we proceeded with intubating the patient. So, given his unstable hemodynamics, we wanted to assess the regurgitant lesions using transesophageal echo. Here we can visualize a huge vegetation on the mitral valve, which is causing severe MR. He also had large vegetations along with high suspicion of perforation on the aortic valve, and transesophageal echo at this point also revealed vegetations on the anterior leaflet of the tricuspid valve, which we had not visualized in the previous transthoracic echoes. So, owing to his clinical deterioration and the degree of valve damage that had already occurred, it was discussed with the infectious disease team, intensivist cardiologist, and the cardiac surgery, and the mutual decision was to proceed with the emergent surgery. So this is the clip from the surgery. Here we can visualize the huge aortic valve vegetation, and the surgeon is also showing the huge perforation within the valve, which was causing the hemodynamic instability. So this is the excised vegetation. This was further sent for culture so that we could give the specific antibiotic and specific treatment so the patient would improve. So after the surgery, patient remained stable and he proceeded for extubation on the first post-op day. As we discussed earlier, his aortic and mitral valve tissues were sent for culture, which came out positive for Aspergillus flavus. Hence, antifungal treatment was continued. So we proceeded for the post-procedure transthoracic echo. Here we can visualize the EF has mildly improved 40%, and we can see mechanical prosthetic mitral valve along with the mechanical prosthetic aortic valves. So the learning point in this whole scenario in this case was that fungal endocarditis is a very rare entity, but it can lead to very catastrophic sequelae. As we can see, the patient presented in a hemodynamically compromised situation, but he further progressed and deteriorated. So it can be quite challenging for the treating physicians to understand that the patient has fungal endocarditis, because it does not present with typical symptoms of bacterial endocarditis. The diagnosis is further complicated since the investigation seldom reveal positive cultures. So there should be high suspicion when the patient is deteriorating, and therefore we should proceed with the combined medical and surgical approach in the best benefit of the patient. So thank you all for listening.